High in the Swiss Alps, where snowy mountain peaks touched the blue sky and green meadows spread filled with spring flowers, lived a little girl named Heidi in a simple wooden hut with her elderly grandfather. Heidi had blue eyes like the sky on a clear day, and golden locks of hair that fluttered in the wind as she ran across the hills. Grandfather Alpine, as he was called in the village, was an old man with a long white beard and a face reddened by the mountain sun. The villagers were used to avoiding him, as he had lived alone for many years, but Heidi loved him from the very first moment. She followed him everywhere as he taught her how to care for the goats, make cheese from their milk, and grow vegetables in their small garden. Every morning, Heidi would go out with her friend Peter, the young goatherd, to tend to the goats together. She would laugh and play, chasing after the little goat she had named Eagle. She was happy in her simple life, until the day her aunt came from the city. "You must come with me to Frankfurt, Heidi," Aunt Diet said firmly. "You will live in a big house and learn to read and write like a proper young lady." Grandfather objected, but Aunt Diet insisted that this was an opportunity not to be missed. Finally, he relented and bid his granddaughter farewell with a heavy heart. At first, Heidi didn't understand why she had to leave, but she promised her grandfather that she would return soon. In Frankfurt, life was completely different. The big house, the tall walls, the luxurious rooms, and the cold floors. Nothing was like the soft grass of the mountains. Heidi met Clara, a beautiful girl with sad eyes who couldn't walk. Clara lived with her strict governess, Fräulein Rottenmeier. Fräulein Rottenmeier insisted that Heidi learn proper manners and etiquette. Though Clara became Heidi's friend, the little girl began to feel sad. She missed the fresh air, the sound of goat bells, and the smell of the fresh bread her grandfather used to bake. She began to lose her spark and fell ill. The doctor who examined her shook his head sadly. "This isn't a physical illness, it's homesickness. She must return to the mountains." At last, Heidi returned to her grandfather's hut, where he embraced her tightly. Her smile returned. A few months later, Clara and her family came to visit Heidi in the mountains. The fresh air, walking on the grass, and playing with the goats all helped Clara regain her strength. And then on a sunny day, as Heidi and Clara sat under the large pine tree, something miraculous happened. Clara stood on her feet and took her first steps. Fräulein Rottenmeier wept with joy, while Grandfather Alpine smiled quietly. Heidi jumped for happiness, and Peter shouted from afar, "Look! It's a miracle!" Everyone stayed in the mountains for a while, enjoying nature and friendship. When it was time to leave, Clara promised she would always come back to visit Heidi. As for Heidi, she returned to her simple life, but now she knew that the world was bigger than the Alps, and that friendship and love could make the impossible possible. And every evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Heidi would sit outside the hut with her grandfather, drinking warm milk and listening to the wind tell the stories of the high peaks.